Hello and welcome to the big fight. It's been a rather bad week for the Congress and perhaps for the UPA government at the centre as well, because popular perception now says that is it a government that's a bit of a lame duck? Is it a government that's not going to be able to do anything for the next 2 years? The really unkind people will say, what's the difference? It hasn't been able to do much for the last 2 years either. But the crucial question to ask is, are these perceptions correct? Or are we actually going to see a surprising amount of action? Will those bills that have been pending in Parliament finally be passed? Will any reforms go through? Or are we going to see a state of complete paralysis? And what's going to happen to government overall? Those are the subjects that we're going to be discussing today on The Big Fight. Let me start by welcoming Manish Tiwari, spokesperson of the Congress Party. Great to have you with us. And next to him, Chandan Mitra, Rajya Sabha MP from the BJP. Prasenjit Bose, convener of the research cell of the CPIM. Great to have you with us. Krishnamurthy Subramaniam, professor at the Indian School of Business, is going to tell us which bills he thinks are going to make a big difference, as indeed will James Pantela Khan, who's a correspondent with the Financial Times, who really does feel that India is losing a golden opportunity, considering what's happening in the rest of the world. And Paranjoy Guha-Thaputta, wonderful to have you back with us on The Big Fight as well. And in just a short while, we will also be having a special guest joining us from the Samajwadi Party. That, of course, on a day where we now know Akhilesh Yadav has taken, or will be taking over as the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh. The question is, what is he and the Samajwadi Party going to be doing to help the centre, the government at the centre, or will they be hurting it, or how do the dynamics play? But let's just start off, first of all, with the big overall question. Manish, there are some people who are saying that, look, it's a wounded government and there's going to be paralysis. There are others who are saying, well, you know, what does the UPA have to lose anyway, so why don't you go for it? Do something.
Well, Vikram, let me take you back to 2007.
Which was the last time you did something?
We had lost Punjab, we had lost Uttarakhand. We had not done very well in UP. Goa and Manipur did come to us. We had a problem with our left allies, which went into 2008. And then 2009, when the Lok Sabha elections came, the UPA came back to power. So to all the prophets of doom, you know, who have been spelling or who have been trying to spread gloom over the last 1 week, I would like to say that India goes through these electoral cycles. Yes, the results are not to our expectations. We accept the results with all humility, but that does not mean that this government, in any sense of the word, is a lame duck government.
Okay, Manish,
this is a government which is elected for 5 years and it will deliver on the commitments.
What humility indeed.
Okay, but I'm just going to say that you went back to 2007. Good parallel, because what you did at that time in 2007 was you actually took some pretty tough decisions, like the nuclear deal. You actually seized that moment to go ahead and to press the accelerator and to actually be seen as taking a strong stand on something. Is history going to repeat itself this time around?
Well, history is definitely
I have a
going to
list of
repeat
bills
itself.
which are this thick pending in Parliament. Will you push any of them through next week?
History is definitely going to repeat itself. And unlike the conventional logic, history, when it repeats itself, this time is not going to be a farce. It is going to be a reality, and a reality in the making.
Chandan, do you see any of that happening, or are we going to see 2 years of paralysis? And as I was saying, unkind people will say what's different.
Yeah, I'm glad he's started quoting Marx. Because first time then it was a tragedy.
Anyway, we'll not go into the semantics of it, so you can go ahead with the argument.
Seriously, the thing is that the government, as you yourself pointed out, has done so little in the past 2 years that it evokes very little confidence. Especially in a scenario where most of its allies too have taken on a kind of rebellious posture. I want to point out that in 2009, the government, or rather the UPA, got a bigger mandate. Congress got a bigger mandate than it had. And it was felt that with the left out of the way and resoundingly defeated, the government had been unshackled. It was going to now move at a breakneck speed, and those who were acting as speed breakers would not be able to damage the government at all. Surprisingly, the government's pace of progress is slower than it was in UPA 1. And as far as the bills that are in front of Parliament now,
and we're going to just start playing them out, the graphics. If we can just see the graphics of all the bills. And I would actually like to like to go through them, one by one and see if any of them actually have a hope of getting through.
But let me just complete the point, Vikram, that you see, leave alone the major bills that are awaited, even the minor bills, which are of not that importance, even they are pending. They can't get a single bill passed. I mean, Mr. Kapil Sibal has 14 bills.
But Chandan, frankly, I would also blame you to some extent and the others, because there are some bills out here which are really important for the country, and surely the opposition should also cooperate. You shouldn't be blocking bills just because you're in opposition, because the danger with that is 3 years from now, who knows, the boot could be on the other foot. And if they then start to block bills just because they're in opposition, it becomes really tragic.
The NDA has not blocked a single bill without any rhyme or reason.
I'm going to go through them step by step.
The problem has been the complete absence of consultation, the refusal to take the opposition on board, the refusal even to talk to their own allies. See how the NCTC thing happened. They don't even talk to their own allies. So what do you expect?
Let me get Prasenjit and then I want to get the others.
I just wanted to make a couple of quick points. First of all, I don't think that this government is not only being punished by the electorate today for not doing anything. I think that the unshackling from the left has actually allowed them to do certain things for which people are very angry. For instance, they have gone ahead and done among the biggest scams in the post-independence period. We had shackled them.
Wait a minute. That happened when you were very much...
No. You're wrong. First of all, the Commonwealth gave... Listen.
If you call it a
scam, the 2G spectrum scam...
the government.
No, we were not supporting the government.
We were not supporting the government.
The 2G scam took place precisely at a time when we were in the process of withdrawing support.
You were in the process of withdrawing support.
2008.
Did you withdraw support because of the 2G scam, or did you withdraw support because of the nuclear deal?
I think you're just twisting the whole thing.
You're twisting dates, or am I twisting dates?
You're twisting the whole thing. We were the first party...
on 10th January 2008, were you supporting us or you had withdrawn support?
We were the first party which complained to the Central Vigilance Commission.
When was this?
In 2008. You please go through the details. Well, you are just twisting fact. Okay. Second thing, the Commonwealth Games scam, the other scam, the Reliance KG Basin scam, all these scams happened under the tenure of the UPA 2 government when the left was not supporting it. Okay. Second,
we are diverting, I suspect.
Because you are reducing the country's problems on the passage or non-passage of certain legislations, but there are very other pressing problems like inflation, like joblessness, like increasing inequalities and corruption, which are the issues which are plaguing the electorate today.
Prasenjit, yeah, I know, but I'm just trying to see whether what is going to happen in the legislative process. Let me just turn to you, Krishnamurthy. What do you think are the really crucial items on the agenda? I mean, he's spoken about some of the other problems as well.
Sure.
But there is a legislative agenda as well, which the government should be trying to push through.
Absolutely.
Which of these bills do you think is really crucial?
So, there are really two questions that you're asking here, right? Firstly, what are those critical reforms that need to be done? And secondly, which one will indeed see the light of the day? And the first question is what essentially, you have to ask that question, you have to say, what is the overriding objective that the finance minister should have here, which is essentially about bringing the economy back into growth. And in that sense, you can actually categorize the reforms that we're talking about here into two buckets. The first one is about essentially encouraging investment, removing bottlenecks on investment. And the second, so that's there the reform bills like the land acquisition bill, bringing FDI into retail, multi-brand retail, insurance, pensions. Those are the ones that belong in that category. And the second one is about essentially bringing more equity, right? So making sure that the welfare progress as a welfare state. And it's really my firm belief that the second set of reforms will not essentially be as functional, will not be as effective unless the first set of reforms are efficient. Yeah.
But are politically more important. And perhaps some of those bills come into both categories.
In fact, if you think about this election, this budget, in fact, is quite critical because next year, the electoral compulsions will essentially reduce degrees of freedom. And so the kind of measures that can be brought on now will not be possible next year.
James, he said, I mean, as he's rightly saying that there are two different sort of things the government has to do, more equity and also unshackling the Indian economy as a certain bit. Do you see any of this happening, and especially next week when the budget is being presented? Do you expect to hear anything at all on any of this?
We should remember that fiscal deficit is kind of growing at a very quick speed, and we're probably going to not meet the target. It's going to be over 5% of GDP. So there should be some consolidation, and like, for example, food security bill. That was the idea. I know Pranab Mukherjee would like to do that, but whether he can he can consolidate, whether he can pass certain bills, I think the Congress has a commitment to do it. But now there's a different reality. After the UP elections, they have lost.
You're not one of those who believes that they have nothing to lose, so they might well press ahead.
I think that is a fair argument. They could try, but then you need those votes inside the parliament, and if they're blocked,
if I may add,
go anywhere.
If I may add, in fact, I think the government doesn't have as much to lose. 3 years they've dragged their feet on reforms, and now they have not gained on growth, nor have they gained electorally. So this is like the Indian team in Australia essentially bumbling from failure to failure and doing nothing, just going on.
Yeah,
so there's a nice opportunity.
The NDTV News app had redefined the entire genre. Now, another market beater. It's already hit #1.
NDTV Profit, India's #1 finance app. Download free at ndtvprofit.com/apps. Live stream of NDTV Profit, market news, and your easy-to-manage portfolio. Download now, ndtvprofit.com/apps.